Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Pick a Books. I am Komal and welcome to a reading vlog of Game of Thrones. I never did a reading vlog, so I'm really excited about that, and I wanted to do this particular reading vlog from so long. Ever since I started the first book of Game of Thrones, I just wanted to make a reading vlog, but I waited until I finished 2 books. So what I thought is that I'll make reading vlog after reading at least 2 books from the series. So there will not be one video with a lot of things crammed up, but there will be separate videos with a detailed detailed summary of each book. Before I begin with this video, let me tell you this video will be full of spoilers. So watch this video if you have read the book or you have watched the series, because it will do you no harm, as you will be knowing the same things that I know right now. And if you have not read the book or watched the series, then you might want to consider watching this video. And if you don't mind me spilling some spoilers, then go ahead and watch this video. And what to expect of this reading vlog, I'll be talking about 2 books. First is A Game of Thrones, the first book in the series, and the second book is A Clash of Kings, that is the second book in the series. So I'll be talking about these 2 books, a little summary of these 2 books, and I'll also be talking about the characters from what I have gained from the books, the characters that have appeared in the first and the second book, and what I feel about them, my thoughts. And third thing is that I'll be doing a Game of Thrones tag, and that is purely based on my knowledge about the series, because I can't really answer the questions just by reading 2 books from the series. So tag will be based on the series, and characters, thoughts, opinions will be based on the books. And there will also be a bonus content at the end of the video. I won't reveal it right now,
because even I don't know what I'm going to do. So
you might have already seen this book in other videos, because I love this cover. Like, look at this, how gorgeous. And the dragon was not yet born, but it is so good. I love this spine. It is around 800 pages. You can see my annotations over here. I guess I completed this book in 10 days. Let me tell you, this does not feel that thick as it is when you're reading. You just flow with the writing and everything is
so good. Like, oh my god.
I just love this book. This is one of my favorite. Out of the 2 books that I've read, this is my favorite. So yeah, let's begin with the summary now. The story opens when the men from the Night's Watch discovers White Walkers for the very first time. Meanwhile, in Westeros, Jon Arryn, the Hand of King, is dead, and Robert Baratheon, the king, marches to Winterfell along with all the Lannisters and asks Ned Stark to be the Hand of the King. First, Ned refuses because his place belongs at Winterfell as the Lord, but upon discovering that Jon Arryn was actually murdered, Lady Catelyn Stark insists Ned to go there and see what is actually the case with the Lannisters. If Jon Arryn is murdered, there has to be something that is really going on, and it is kept as secret. Along with the offer of Hand of the King, Robert Baratheon also proposes the marriage of Sansa Stark to Joffrey Lannister. Meanwhile, Jon Snow takes the Black, and Bran Stark is pushed from a tower by Jaime Lannister when Bran discovers the infidelity between Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister, who happens to be brother and sister. When Bran was unconscious, someone tried to sneak up into his room and tried to kill him, but Lady Catelyn Stark was present at the moment, and she now possesses the dagger that was used to kill Bran. She travels to King's Landing in disguise and warns Ned Stark about the Lannisters. She also discovers that the dagger that was used to kill Bran belongs to Tyrion Lannisters, and she knows this by Littlefinger. When Catelyn Stark was heading back to Winterfell, she crosses paths with Tyrion Lannister, who she thought is the real owner of the dagger. She holds him in captive in Riverrun with the help of her father's troop and also her brother Edward Tully. Now that Ned Stark is aware that Jon Arryn was not dead by a natural death, but it was a murder that was planned by Cersei, because Jon Arryn was in hold of information explanation that the three children of Cersei Lannister is not by Robert Baratheon, but they are children of Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister. Ned Stark warns Cersei about this, and Cersei plans the murder of Robert Baratheon with the help of her nephew Lancel Lannister. He makes him drunk on wine, and now Robert Baratheon is intoxicated and he gets attacked by a boar and he dies. On his deathbed, Robert Baratheon asks Ned to serve as the protector of the realm until Joffrey comes of age. But Ned Stark still doesn't tell that Joffrey is not his true heir because of their
Friendship. What kind of friendship is that?
So what Ned Stark does is that he tells his plan to Stannis Baratheon, who is the younger brother of Robert Baratheon and hence the true heir to the Iron Throne. But Cersei deems this as betrayal and raises the head of Ned Stark on a spike and
Done. Next start is done. Done. Bye-bye.
on the other side of the world, Daenerys Targaryen is married to Khal Drogo by her brother Viserys. He thinks that with the help of Khal Drogo's men, he will be able to capture the Iron Throne because he thinks he is the true heir to the Iron Throne. But his fate does not let him do that, and he gets brutally killed when Khal Drogo places a molten gold crown on his head and he screams and he dies off. Khal Drogo dies because of illness, and Daenerys Targaryen's stillborn son Rhaego also dies because of some black magic. While they were burning the body of Khal Drogo, she places the 3 dragon eggs which were presented to her as wedding gift by Maester Illyrio. The 3 dragon eggs are hatched because of the fire, and Daenerys Targaryen, she walks through the fire and now she has dragons on her shoulders. She is carrying them and she walks out of the fire. And now the real twist begins because the Game of Thrones just got a little more complex with the introduction of dragons. I don't know what day of reading vlog this is, but let's just pretend that this is day 2 of reading vlog. So welcome to day 2 of reading vlog, and in today's vlog I'll be doing Game of Thrones tag, and I have the questions on my laptop over here. So let's get started. So the first question is, how did you discover series or books? So I discovered the series in 2016 or 2017 when Instagram introduced stories, and I literally saw Game of Thrones, the intro music, that music almost on everyone's story, and I was curious what this is about. And I saw the series during my semester end holidays. I just saw one episode and I was literally so hooked to it. I could not resist to actually see what the whole series is, and I'm a kind of a person who does not like action-packed violence and all the stuff in series or movies, but I really enjoyed watching Game of Thrones. I would finish around 1 season per day. All I did that summer holidays was watch Game of Thrones, and later I got to know that this series was actually based on books written by George R.R. Martin, and I got the box set as a gift, and I did not read that for almost 2 years, but now I gave that up and I am into Game of Thrones books. And the next question is, who is your all-time favorite character? I think it's pretty obvious. It has been Jon Snow from the starting seasons, and it is because of Jon Snow how he is, and also because of Kit Harington. I really love how Jon Snow is portrayed as, and how he is so much more like Stark than the other Stark family, and his theory literally blew everyone's mind. I love that theory. And
Jon Snow is cute, so yeah, I like him.
And the next character is Arya Stark. I did not like her in the starting seasons, but later in that Faceless Man period, her character just grew, and her character development is one of the immense character development I've seen in this series. But I did not expect her to kill the Night King. Not so much of character development, please. I wanted that to be done by Jon Snow. And I really like the chemistry between Jon Snow and Arya Stark. It is so cute, such brotherly and sisterly, very kiddish and so warm relationship. And apart from the Stark family, I like Tyrion Lannister. Even for what he is, he carries himself with so much grace, and the words he chooses is,
it's so beautiful.
I really love that. I mean, readers look for that in a person, okay? Good sense of humor, wittiness, and good choice of words. He has all of them, and I really like Tyrion Lannister. And I also like his narrative voice. It is so much more transparent and, filled with wittiness. And he has these insecurities, but he does not show it to others. There is one place where he tells that he cannot be a knight and he cannot fight in a war. That's why he immerses himself in books, because his counsel can be helped, and at least that can be useful to others. So I really like how he approaches everything, and he has a very different look onto the world. So Jon Snow, Arya Stark, Tyrion Lannister. And the next question is, who is your favorite side character? It is Missandei, but I was always confused between Melisandre and Missandei because of the similarity in their names. So I'll put the picture of Missandei over here. She was with Daenerys. She is so much quick, she is so strong. Even in the condition she was in, she does not feel sorry for herself. And I think one best thing Daenerys did was to hire Missandei. She is someone the queen can rely upon. She is trusted. She is so much dutiful, quick, strong, and I really like how she carries herself. She is elegant and she is also very beautiful. So Missandei. And the next question is, if you could magically resurrect a character by sacrificing another character, who would you sacrifice and who would you bring back? I would sacrifice Theon Greyjoy all the time. I mean, I don't know what was his purpose, and from the start he did not give good vibes. I feel sorry for him, but I still don't see the point why he is in the series. So I would sacrifice Theon Greyjoy, and someone to bring back, I would bring back Robb Stark or Ned Stark. But if Ned Stark is back, then Game of Thrones is not what Game of Thrones is like. And if Robb Stark is back, then he would, steal the limelight of Jon Snow. So I'm very confused between these two, but it has to be someone from the Stark family. So either Robb or Ned Stark. And the next question, this is a very fun question. So you are a person of Night's Watch. Who would you break your oath of chastity for? It has to be either Jon Snow or Robb Stark. I am giving choices like I have any option. But yeah, Jon Snow or Robb Stark. They're so cute, so hot. But I did not like Ygritte, so I would go for Jon Snow. I liked Richard and Robb Stark and the other girl. I don't remember her name, but I liked the pair. But I did not like Kit and Ygritte. I think Rose. I did not like their pair, so I would break my chastity for Jon Snow. Maybe we'll break our oaths together. The next question is, dragon or direwolf, which would you rather have by your side? If it is logical, then I would have dragon by my side. I feel Daenerys survived only because she had dragons, 3 dragons. So if I have dragon, I'll just fly over Westeros and do Dracarys. No, I'm not a mad queen, but yeah, that sounds fun, sitting on a dragon and commanding the dragon to just bush. And if it is not logical, if it's something like you would like to have it as a pet, then I would definitely go for direwolf, because
dragons are ugly. I hate that whole reptilia kingdom. They have ugly scales, they have such evil eyes, cold-blooded. long tongue, slimy. Oh my god, they're so yuck. I don't like them at all.
So I'm more of a person who likes animals with fur. So I'd go for direwolf, and I would put them under a spell that they should not grow, that they should be a pup forever, so they don't harm others, and they're also easy to carry, like just like a cat. And the next question is, which character would you most like to portray on television? This is such an interesting question. I would be Lyanna Mormont for sure. She is such a badass. I am complete opposite of her, but I would love to portray her on television if given a chance. I love when she just fires when Northerners does not accept Jon Snow as king in the north, and then she stands up and she just fires with her speech. That was one brilliant moment in Game of Thrones. So I would like to portray Lyanna Mormont, and also she is named after Jon Snow's mom, so that is great. And the next question is, what is your favorite moment from the books or series? As of now, I'll cover the series because books I have not read. So the first favorite moment is Joffrey's death. I think I would be a bad person if I say that I really enjoyed when Joffrey died, but it was such a great scene. I hated Joffrey. I mean, all of us hated Joffrey, and when he choked to the death, I was literally in tears, happy tears, okay? It was like a ray of sunshine, and everything was like so much fun. Whenever he was there, it was very ugly. I don't know, he just carried these vibes around him, and I just hated him for what he was. So yeah, first is Joffrey's death. And the next favorite is Jon Snow and Arya Stark's reunion. I really love the chemistry between these two. It was so warm when Jon gifted Arya her first sword needle, and whenever Jon thinks about family, he always thinks about tousling Arya's hair, messing up with her hair, calling her little sister, and same with Arya as well. So I really love the chemistry, and when they were reunited, I was literally in tears. I was so happy for them. That was my next favorite moment. And my third favorite moment is Birth of Dragons. That was depicted so well. That scene had so much intensity. Daenerys walks into the fire when Khal Drogo is burning, and she also keeps the dragon eggs, which was gifted by Magister Illyrio. So when she keeps that, and because of that heat, the dragons pop up and they hatched, and then she walks out of fire. That walk is so much intense. She walks with a dragon on her shoulder and dragon suckling her breast, and that is so beautiful the way it was depicted. She was covered with all ashes, her dress was burned, and then there were dragons over here. That was really very intense moment. And my fourth favorite moment is Jon's birth and resurrection. When Jon Snow was killed, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna watch the next seasons, okay, because I'm really disappointed. But then when he is resurrected, I think Melisandre, she makes silent prayers. She just goes round and round Jon's body, and she cuts his hair. And later on, Ghost, he senses that there is life, and then that time Jon gasps and he comes back from dead, and that moment is so beautiful. That gasp, I don't know how many takes they would have taken, but it was done beautifully. I love that scene. The final favorite moment is obviously Arya Stark stabbing Night King. I did not like her stabbing Night King, but the way she did that, I think Night King was here and Arya Stark was here, and when she was stabbing with the dragon glass, Night King holds her wrist and she just drops the dragon glass and she holds it through this hand and she stabs. That was like such a clever move. Nobody would have actually predicted how Night King would have died. I thought that Arya Stark was like done. This is done. But that move, that drop and the stab was like So beautiful, so good. And the next question is, who do you think deserves to sit on the Iron Throne by the end of the series? Series is already ended and I do not like the king. Bran Stark, no please. I hate that third eye theory. I think it's full of bullshit. Jon Snow is the true heir of the Iron Throne, and it is also depicted in this three dragons theory that Aerys, the Mad King, he had three kids, Rhaegar, Viserys and Daenerys, and Rhaegar had three kids. Two were dead at the Trident and one is Jon Snow, but Jon Snow did not know that he is the son of Lyanna and Rhaegar Targaryen. And the thing is that there are three dragons, right? So the three dragons depict the three kids of Targaryen, and you see that there is a pattern that they have two sons and one daughter. Rhaegar also has two sons and one daughter, and Jon Snow is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, but he gets to know that so late. And I just wish that George R.R. Martin uses this theory to make Jon Snow as the king, as a true heir to the Iron Throne. So that is what the next question is. That is, what are you most looking forward to in the upcoming book or season? Series is already done, so I am disappointed, but I don't want to be disappointed after reading so many books and saying that Jon Snow is not the king.
Oh my god, no, I just burn all the books. No, I won't burn all the books, okay? I'm just kidding, I won't burn them.
But yeah, I mean, my hard work of reading almost 5,000 pages will go into vain if George R.R. Martin does not make Jon Snow the king of the Iron Throne and not of the North Iron Throne, okay?
This is my sincere request to George R. Martin that please make Jon Snow the king.
Hi guys, welcome to day 3 of reading vlog, and in today's video I'll be talking about Clash of Kings. This is the second book in the series A Song of Ice and Fire. This is freaking 900-page book and I took almost a month to complete this book. I went into a big reading slump while reading this book and I just had to push myself because I knew this is one big obstacle, and if you overcome this, later on books will be really smooth because they are short compared to this book. They are almost 600 pages, 600 to 700 pages. So compared to this book, it is really short. And what I feel is that most people might have stopped in between this book because it is super slow. Readers have to be a lot patient because not many things occur in this book. Like, there are not many events that will occur, but the writing makes it, you know, so much exaggerated, so much more descriptive. That's why it takes up to 900 plus pages. So yeah, I'll talk about this book now, so watch out for the summary. So now that King Robert Baratheon is dead, Joffrey Lannister sits on the Iron Throne, but Robert's brothers Stannis and Renly also claim the Iron Throne, and Robb Stark removes his alliance from the Seven Kingdoms and he declares himself as the king in the north. And Balon Greyjoy, he is the dad of Theon Greyjoy, he declares himself as the king of Iron Islands. So there are 5 kings and there is a war between them, and this is called as War of 5 Kings. That is Joffrey, Stannis, Renly, Robb Stark and Balon Greyjoy. Stannis Baratheon is supported by a foreign priestess called Melisandre, and Renly Baratheon is supported by the Tyrell family and is also married to Margaery Tyrell, who is the only daughter of Mace Tyrell. And Catelyn Stark tries to form an alliance against Joffrey with the help of Renly and Stannis, but Melisandre, the foreign priestess, she uses magic to send a shadow to kill Renly Baratheon, and that was done in the presence of Catelyn and Brienne of Tarth. So they flee the scene. Tyrion Lannister is back at King's Landing and he serves as the hand of the king, and upon discovering Renly's death, he sends Littlefinger to win the support of Tyrell family and also to propose a marriage between Joffrey and Margaery Tyrell. Robb keeps on winning the wars against Lannisters, and in the absence of Robb Stark, Bran acts as the Lord of Winterfell. Robb sends Theon Greyjoy to negotiate an alliance between North and the Iron Islands, but Theon betrays and he attacks Winterfell and also captures Bran and Rickon, but they both flee with the help of Hodor, Meera, Osha and Jojen Reed. So Theon fakes the death of Bran and Rickon and he is captured as a prisoner by the House of Bolton, who turn their backs against Winterfell and Greyjoy and attacks Winterfell. Meanwhile, Arya Stark is taken to North as a recruit for the Night's Watch, and here she saves the life of Jaqen H'ghar during an attack, and he promises to repay her by killing 3 men of her choice and also gives her a mysterious coin and asks her to find him in the city of Braavos. In the Battle of Blackwater Bay between Lannisters and Stannis, Lannisters forces the use of wildfire and Stannis' troop falls. Tyrion Lannister is attacked by Joffrey's Kingsguard, and before he gains consciousness, Tywin Lannister assumes the post of Hand of the King. Beyond the Wall, Lord Commander assigns Jon Snow to investigate King Beyond the Wall, that is Mance Rayder's Ames, led by Qhorin Halfhand. Under the attack of Wildings, Qhorin Halfhand commands Jon Snow to learn the plans of Wildings and to win their trust, and one way to win the Wildings' trust was Jon Snow killing Qhorin Halfhand. Meanwhile, Daenerys travels east along with Jorah Mormont and other new followers, along with her newly hatched 3 dragons. People try to negotiate with her for a marriage proposal, ships, army men for her dragons, but she refuses them all. So first is Eddard Stark. Eddard Stark, also called as Ned Stark. You can trust this guy with any secret and he will not speak a word of it. Even if his life is in danger, his mouth will remain shut, and you can say that that is one of the good and bad thing about him. I mean, if he used his head would not have been on a spike, right? He trusts the wrong person, like Littlefinger. He trusted Littlefinger, and what did he do? He just pulled a knife against his throat, and he trusted Cersei with his secret, with her secret. And what did she do? She planned a murder, a treason against him, and this guy does not know who to trust. And I think that is the same case with most of the Stark family. And moving on, let's go to Catelyn Stark, called as Lady Cat. She is the wife of Eddard Stark. She is, I think she was very neglected in the series. I did not see much of her in the series, but in the book I just see her always. And she is a very, motherly person, motherly this, motherly that, and her favorite kid is obviously Robb Stark. And I feel that she acts without thinking. Like the time she captured Tyrion Lannister, she just did not think about the consequences of that, and like right on the spot she just captured Tyrion Lannister on the words of Littlefinger. Littlefinger is everywhere. He is the person for all the misunderstanding, and he said that the dagger belongs to Tyrion Lannister, and she just went and she just captured Tyrion Lannister. And I think she should have known Littlefinger, since he was her dad's hostage, hostage or ward. Yeah, ward. He was her dad's ward. And next, let's go on to the Stark kids. So first is Robb Stark. Robb Stark is more like his mother, and even he is like, he acts first then thinks later, and he's a nice guy, I think, but you don't see much of him. In the second book at least, you just hear that Robb Stark is present, but you don't see a perspective from his side, and he is on a war for more than a year. Moving on to Jon Snow, the bastard of Ned Stark. That is what is said in the first few books, but he's really not. He is a very grey character. He has his own insecurities, and he is a person who is left out from the group, and he also understands whoever is left out, like Samwell Tarly. He was not fitting into the Night's Watch, but this guy, he lent a hand to Samuel Tarly and he helped him. So he's a nice person. He is more of a Stark than all others. And the next character is Sansa Stark. She is literally one of the most dumbest character in Game of Thrones. She is like a parrot. She just repeats whatever is fed to her and she tries to be polite, people pleaser. She does not use her brain at all and she starts using it only after Ned Stark is beheaded. But what's the point? I mean, she cannot survive on her own. She trusts people who she should not, and she is more like her mother basically. And the next character is Arya Stark. She is strong and fierce. I did not like her in the starting few seasons, but later her character just grew. She is more like a Stark. She is more like Jon Snow. And the trust factor, I mean, she does not trust people easily, and that is a good thing about her, because she just points her needle right at the person, because she is she has a lot of trust issues. And she's very little girl, but she is quick. She thinks a lot and she acts upon it, and she has these thoughts that keeps on going, like fear cuts deeper than swords. I love that quote. It always runs on her mind, and that is just so beautiful. Next is Brandon Stark. There are a lot of Brandon in Stark family. Brandon the Burner, Brandon the Builder, Brandon Stark also the brother of Ned Stark, and Brandon Stark also the son of Ned Stark. So now I'll be talking about the son of Ned Stark, that is Brandon Stark. He is I don't know what he is. I mean, he has these weird theories, and they just started after he fell from the tower, and people around him encouraged that thoughts. I don't know what it is, but he just goes into another space and then he comes back, and he's more of a helpless guy and more of a dreamer, and things come to him naturally that don't really come to others. And Rickon Stark is also like that. I mean, he has very dark thoughts. Like when Ned Stark was getting beheaded, Rickon and Bran Stark somehow anticipated that would happen. Bran, I would agree, but I don't know how Rickon got that thought. The next family is Lannisters. Lannisters always pay their debts, and the first Lannister is Cersei Lannister. She does not have much of a narration. I think she just had 1 or 2 chapters in the first book, but her presence is felt throughout the book. I mean, even if her narration is not present much, she is present in everyone's narration, and everyone has their own perspective about Cersei, and everything is leading to one thing. I mean, nobody has different perspective about Cersei. Cersei is a really strong person. She is someone who is not afraid of people. She will get whatever she wants, and she will, even if people come in her way, she'll just cut their head off. She is a kind of person like that. And moving on to Jaime Lannister. Like Cersei Lannister, even Jaime does not have a narration, and Jaime is mainly felt through Catelyn Stark's narration and Tyrion Lannister's narration, and you all see that he is a very handsome figure. He is portrayed as a very handsome figure, very strong, and someone who is cunning also. So yeah, that's about Jaime Lannister. And Tyrion Lannister, I really like this guy. I mean, he has a way with words, and he is not like Cersei and Jaime Lannister. And he has these thoughts, these monologues in his head. I mean, if someone is having a conversation with him, he has 2 replies, one in his head and one that he responds to. So I really like the inner thoughts. And he also trusts people easily. I mean, like Jaime Lannister, his dad, and Cersei Lannister, and so many others, like from Kingsguard, he trusts people easily, and people betray him, and he just feels sorry for himself, but he does not show it on his face. I mean, that is such a brave thing to do. I really like this guy. I mean, his character, his personality is so much enriched with, all the wittiness and sarcasm, and I love this guy. I mean, this guy is like a perfect person to, fit into the Game of Thrones, the whole mania. Moving on to Targaryen family, and that is Daenerys Targaryen. She is a very stubborn person, I would say, and she would not have survived this Game of Thrones if she did not have those dragons. I mean, she would have been finished way long, and people have tried to murder her. Robert Baratheon tried to murder her, but she survived because of the people around her, like Sir Jorah Mormont and other followers from Khal Drogo's Khalasar. I feel that she blackmails people into getting into her group, army, followers. Yeah, like getting into a group by saying that she has these dragons and you have to provide me ships and armies and all those stuff that she can go and conquer Iron Throne. But I really like that hunger she has, that I will be the queen, I am the queen, I am the Stormborn, Daenerys Stormborn, and I really like that hunger, that thirst she has. But she has a different way, and I feel that Arya and Daenerys, they have some qualities like that stubbornness, the feeling of being the one, but yeah, they are good in their own way. So that's it for the characters. There are a lot more characters like knights, kings, queens of other lower families, but these are the most important characters that occur a lot of times in the book and also in the series. So yeah, that's about characters, and wait for the bonus content. As for the bonus content, I will be playing the theme song of Game of Thrones on my keyboard. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoy listening to this. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching this super long reading vlog where I and Leslie talked about Game of Thrones. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see such vlogs for the next books in the series. I will do that. If you don't like, I'll still do it because it's my channel. Anyways, leave a like if you like this video, share it with your Game of Thrones fan friends, and subscribe to my channel. Until then, take care. Bye bye.